Hi everyone, thank you. Imagine a world where you wake up in the morning, suddenly you realize that everything that you built, 15 years of hard work, dedication, your entire business, your vision is on the brink of complete collapse. That's how we started as COVID-19 hit. That was probably the single most impactful moment in my entire career of building an enterprise, serving over 1.5 million customers across airports, hotels, malls, high street locations, and becoming the most chosen wellness company ever built in this country, a mecca for wellness. That moment gave me an opportunity to really go back and look at what were the core driving factors. They always say, when adversity strikes, great things happen. And that was probably the single biggest moment for me as an entrepreneur, which gave me, being a first generation entrepreneur, you always try and figure out things as they go. And after building India's largest wellness company, and at that moment feeling like you lost it all, was a moment to go back to the drawing board, trying to rediscover what are your core strengths, what drives you as a person, what are the core reasons why you exist, and the purpose of living. And can you take that moment, that pause for over a few months and rediscover your core driving factors? That was during that period that I realized that I'm here for a bigger purpose. And here we are with a much, much larger vision of what we are trying to create. In this new enhanced vision of building this organization, which we call as how future of living is going to exist. In this moment, we came up with this concept of wellness as a service. Similar to how software as a service exists, we believe that the future of wellness is how, not only how you live, where you live, but being able to be in a world where each of these services are available to you at your fingertips. And unlike illness, where you go and seek out only when you have trouble, the future of living is going to be where wellness is driven to you on a day-to-day basis. Leveraging deep technology, with the advent of so much of AI, we are introducing wellness as a service where we believe how future of living is going to be. Leveraging deep technology, delivering hyper-personalized services at scale, looking at how the future of how people are going to live for a much, much longer period of time. Can we deliver these services in a fully integrated fashion, taking longevity, biohacking, and all the cutting-edge technologies available today, and redefine how the future of living is going to be. Taking these cues, it gave us an opportunity to really look at, can we define how future of communities are going to look like? And this, can it enable me as an entrepreneur to go after a much, much, much larger category? The defining moment was truly when I realized that building India's largest spa and wellness company gave me an opportunity to leverage the 1.5 million customer base and the core strengths of being able to deliver services at scale can actually be leveraged to build how future of living is going to be. And that was the defining moment for us on looking at how wellness real estate can actually be created for the first time, leveraging all the latest trends and movements that are happening right around us. As we all know, science has proven repeatedly that where you live significantly impacts how you live, and light, air, greenery significantly impact us. Can we take those cues and redefine how, with this kind of aging population, suddenly people realizing that with the advent of technology, that the lifespan has gone up by more than 50%, but the quality of the lifespan has been deteriorating because there is no organized way to give me a preventive wellness delivery consistently at scale. And we thought, can we be at the epicenter of that defining moment? And that is how we looked at the renewed vision of going after disrupting a $1 trillion category, which is both wellness, real estate, and travel and tourism. And that is how we came up with this concept of resort-oriented wellness living, where you have a resort, hospitality services, and because of that, the consumer is able to have a much more healthier, happier life. And can we also not only restrict there with future of living, but can we also help them hyper-personalize products, whether it is in the form of subscription supplements, personalized skincare, personalized hair care, along with homes where they not only can live, but also monetize them when they are not physically living there. And that is the future of where we see the evolution of how living is going to be. In order to be able to be extremely successful at that, we took the 8 dimensions of wellness as the core building pillars. Physical wellness, which is how you physically live in a particular space, can we deeply impact that. Emotional wellness, the spaces that you feel, act, think, behave, significantly impact how emotionally you feel, which is, as we know, extremely important. Intellectual wellness, can we curate spaces and create digital experiences where consumers can actually, where users, consumers can actually intellectually engage with communities of where they live. Because as we know, as you age, people are more and more going to go away from demographic to psychographic. Irrespective of my age, I would love to engage with folks who are psychographically more aligned to my core values. So can we take advantage of that and rebuild how communities of the future are going to look like? Social wellness. Whom do I interact with? Where do I interact with? How do I interact with? Can these be core driving factors? Because as we know, humans are social animals. Spiritual wellness. As being a Vipassana practitioner myself, I totally understand how I've been able to look at the world from a totally grounded perspective. One of the core defining moments for me has been the post-Vipassana experience of looking at everybody and everything from an outside-in perspective rather than an inside-out perspective. Can we try and leverage that and be the core enabler to all our community members for really enabling them to live a spiritually fulfilling and enriching life? Social wellness, spiritual wellness, environmental wellness, where you live physically and the environment that you are around with, as we know, significantly impacts not only us, but being in an environment where we can actually create and curate better experiences for the entire world around us. And lastly, occupational wellness. What exactly is driving you? As they say, people who are mentally and intellectually stimulated are going to live a much more happier, healthier life for an elongated period of time. Science has repeatedly proven that people who are intellectually stimulated until their last breath have always proven to be a much more healthier lives. The blue zones, as you all heard of, have repeatedly proven that people who are able to really live in an environment of intellectually stimulated zones can actually create better balanced life. And finally, financial wellness. If we can curate spaces which really balance all of these and enable them to become financially much more better off, then we really created an impact which is fulfilling. And that, according to me, have been the core driving factors. And because of that, being in the industry for more than 15 years enabled me to actually look at, can wellness not just be a theme or a concept, but a way of life? How do we take all of these core moving parts, and as we know, we are probably at the single most moment in human history where people are saying 9 to 5 work would be perpetually dead. Technology is going to really disrupt so many lives. AI is really going to take over a lot of things, but humans are ultimately social animals. As you know, if we are able to create and curate experiences where people not only can think, act, and behave the way that enriches their positive well-being, but if that can be curated in an environment where it becomes seamless and frictionless for them, I think that is where they would truly thrive. We, as founders and enablers of how we see the future of wellness living is going to be, can you truly leverage all of this wisdom and be an enabler of that? And those were the thoughts which triggered us to really imagine how we can, with all the wisdom that we have had and the capability of building an organization which is able to deliver hyper-personalized services at scale across the country. As we know, we are probably the only category in the world where there is a physical touch between a customer and an employee. And as we know, services businesses are extremely difficult to scale, and that turned out to be our core competence. If we are able to deliver these services at scale, can we leverage these strengths and go after a much, much, much larger impactful category? And that was redefining future of living, redefining future of real estate. And that is when we said, let's take this whole category and unify it to create an impact where consumers of the future are going to really feel a sense of togetherness, a sense of belonging. And that is how we see the future of living going to emerge. Wellness real estate by itself is close to a $250 billion category, growing at more than 20 to 25% year over year. However, we've realized that because this category is either serviced by people who are in the real estate space or in the healthcare space or in the services delivery space, because entrepreneurs or businesses historically thought about this being my core competence and can I restrict myself to that. However, what we feel is the consumer is the same. Thanks to technology, thanks to the evolution of AI, cutting edge large language models that have emerged, the data that we have can be extremely useful to hyper-personalize these. And we said, instead of looking at us, thanks to COVID, when business was literally shut for a year and a half, and being a first generation entrepreneur, it gave me an opportunity to really look at, can I take this canvas and put the customer at the epicenter, the consumer at the epicenter, and redefine what would it look like for him to actually live a life where I am continuously nudged on a day-to-day basis, where through advices, suggestions, feedback loops, digital experiences with the right stakeholders, whether it is in the form of doctors whom I can communicate with on a proactive basis, and can I create that environment where the customer is put at the epicenter and the services can be leveraged by partnering with right stakeholders, but the consumer experience, which is probably the most stickiest quotient, can be put at the epicenter, and us can, as defining enablers of the future of living, can we really put the customer at the epicenter and define that. And that is how we were able to draw out this massive canvas of how we see the future of living. We say that customers of the future, thanks to technology and only increased wealth, are going to move a lot. They would like to be physically much more active. They would like to be spiritually grounded. They would like to be agile. They would like to move from place to place. Can we create and curate an organization which really considers all of these and curate an experience for them, putting them at the epicenter, leveraging technology at the epicenter, and personalization, hyper-personalization at their core belief system, and build communities of the future. That is what I think is how world of the future is going to look like. The world historically looked or lived with problem, solution. I have a problem which is in the form of illness. My solution is visiting a hospital. Whereas today, thanks to cutting edge technology, we believe that we can actually redefine how future of living is going to be, and how we can make that experience to the customers much more seamless, frictionless, science-backed, in the form of urban centers, in the form of digital experiences, in the form of hyper-personalized products delivered to them, and making them really feel comfortable as they age, in ensuring that they age comfortably, healthily, happily. Thank you.